This is 5 on your side at 5. Focused on you.
Tonight we're learning new details about a shooting between police and a suspect in Alton. It left an officer hurt, a police dog dead, and the suspect dead. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Ann Allred in for Kelly Jackson. The officer who was hurt has been identified as Alan Averbeck. His canine partner Odin was killed in a shootout with the suspect. We have team coverage on this shooting. Let's start with Megan Kernan live in Alton with what we've learned so far.
Well, Ann, less than an hour ago, we heard from Mayor David Goins, who tells us that Alton officer Alan Averbeck has been released from the hospital and is currently at home resting. However, it's still unclear what led up to the shooting, but it is important to note that officials are not looking for any other suspect at this time. Goins says that the officer is mourning the loss of his beloved canine Odin. Now, his partner, Odin, sadly passed away after being taken to the animal hospital. He had only been a canine for just a few months. The canine officer joined the department earlier this year, went to the Canine Academy in February, and graduated in May. This afternoon, many police canine units from across the area escorted Odin in a procession through the city as they took him to his final resting place. Police say the shootout happened this morning when the Alton Police Department exchanged gunfire with the suspect on Liberty and East 6th Street. Mayor Goins says there was a woman shot in a random shooting somewhere in the area last night, but would not confirm whether it was connected with today's shooting. While it's only been a few months working together, Goins says that Officer Averbeck and Odin were extremely close.
It's a very tough loss because this canine, the canine officer and his canine partner, they develop a bond that is unbreakable and unshakable, but they also develop a bond with the family because this canine goes home with this officer every day and really becomes part of that officer's family.
Now, we still have many questions that we want answers for, including who the suspect was and what he was wanted for. Now, the investigation is ongoing and is being led by Illinois State Police. We, of course, will keep you updated on air and online. For now, live in Alton, Megan Kernan, 5 on your side.
Neighbors witnessed the commotion outside and were concerned for their safety this morning.
5 on your side's Laura Barczewski spoke with several of them. She joins us live from the neighborhood. Laura.
Mike and Ann, this was certainly not the wake-up call these neighbors expected. One of the neighbors I talked with says he heard multiple gunshots around 5 o'clock this morning. He ran up to his 3 kids' bedrooms to grab them and get them down to the floor, then called police. At one point, he says he was able to look outside to make sure it wasn't happening right outside his front door and saw police officers approaching someone with their guns drawn. He says this is about the 4th shooting on their city block in about 4 years, but it's not an accurate representation of who they are in this neighborhood.
This community is suffering right now. We're suffering, and unfortunately this is becoming an all too common occurrence that our police department is having to deal with, that our residents are having to deal with, and we're begging for something to be done, and it kind of feels like it's going and falling on deaf ears.
Coming up at 6, I talked with another neighbor who was actually outside when these shots rang out. We'll have that more in just a little bit. Reporting live in Alton, Laura Barczewski, 5 on your side.
And of course, we'll continue to follow this story on air and on KSTK.com. You can also get updates on the 5 on your side app and on 5+.
Tonight, an inmate who expected to avoid his execution may now face death next month. Just yesterday, a judge approved a deal for Marcellus Williams to serve life in prison without parole. But the Missouri Attorney General and the Missouri Supreme Court stepped in, blocking that move. Our Justina Cornell has been in the courtroom for the back-and-forth battle. She joins us from the newsroom. Justina.
Well, and the last 24 hours have been a whirlwind with constant changes. Just yesterday, a judge accepted Marcellus Williams' Alford plea for the 1998 murder of Felicia Gale in St. Louis County. While he maintains his innocence, Williams agreed to life without parole, avoiding the death penalty. That's because on Wednesday, both parties learned the prosecutor's office mishandled the murder weapon for years, corrupting the DNA, which is their main piece of evidence. Yesterday, his family and exonerees were in the courtroom to witness this only for a change hours later. The Attorney General appealed the case to the Missouri Supreme Court, saying the circuit court lacked authority to override a capital murder sentence. Last night, the court sided with the Attorney General, saying an evidentiary hearing is needed. Williams' friend Michelle Smith, also co-director of Missourians to Abolish the Death Penalty, spoke to him yesterday.
It was very quick. Honestly, he called to check on me. He was like, "Oh, you doing okay?" I'm like, "Where you at? You okay?" Like, "I'm good. Are you?" You know. And that's the person he is. In his own words, everything will be the way that it will be. It will be okay, and he has faith in that.
In court, we also learned the victim's family does not support the death penalty in this case and supported the consent judgment. The Attorney General shared a lengthy statement and said in part, quote, "It is in the interest of every Missourian that the rule of law is fought for and upheld every time without fail," end quote. The hearing is next Wednesday.
Today, police identified the teen killed in a shooting in South St. Louis County. 16-year-old Amoran Fuller was on Getz Avenue when he was shot in Limay on Tuesday. Police are investigating his death as suspicious. Police have not released any other details on the shooting. Anyone with information can call Crime Stoppers. That number is 866-371-TIPS.
Now let's take a live look at the United Center in Chicago. Vice President Kamala Harris will speak at the Democratic National Convention there tonight. Our political editor, Mark Maxwell, reports from the DNC, where in just hours, Harris will officially accept her party's presidential nomination.
The overarching theme of this Democratic National Convention has been energy and enthusiasm. And heading into this final night, here with Kamala Harris set to take the stage could not be larger, the stakes could not be higher. And here are some headlines to show you evidence of that energy. One from Politico that says Kamala Harris racked up more donors in 10 days than Joe Biden did in 15 months, the entire presidential election so far. That's just one sign. The Democratic National Convention also keeping a close eye on TV ratings, and they're touting the fact that they're drawing in more viewers each night than the Republicans did at the RNC 1 month ago. They're hoping all that buzz is building into a big audience set to tune in tonight to hear Vice President Kamala Harris become the first black woman ever to accept a major party nomination to run for President of the United States.
Oh, I'm looking forward to just hearing her speak and discredit a lot of the lies that have been spewed about her time as an elected in California, what she's done as a vice president and what she's done as a senator, and what she will continue to do for the entire country. So I'm just excited to hear her plan.
One other big development just yesterday, drawing this race into clearer focus, perhaps just a one-on-one contrast here, is that independent candidate Robert Kennedy Jr. is expected to drop out of the race at the end of this week, something that could change the dynamics here in this last 11-week march toward November. In Chicago, Mark Maxwell, 5 on your side.
Mark will continue his reports from the DNC tonight at 6 and 10. You can watch NBC's coverage of the Democratic National Convention beginning at 8 o'clock tonight, right here on 5 on your side.
Another shift for an animal shelter in Olivet. The APA took over after reports of poor conditions under county control. Why that control is now going back to the county.
The Paralympics begin next week. How one Team USA athlete is using his past as motivation for the future.
And today's high of 80, the low 57, 2 degrees away from a record low. We're going to be cool again tonight. We'll talk about those numbers coming up. And here's that allergy report. It looks like moderate for grasses, weeds, and mold.